everyone, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we're taking a look at Voyager class SoundBlaster from Transformers Siege War for Cybertron trilogy. This was a Walmart exclusive. As you can see, it has the 35th anniversary packaging as opposed to the normal Siege packaging. And if you're familiar with the Siege line, you'll right away recognize that this is mostly a black and red repaint of Soundwave, but the tape compartment on his chest has been retooled slightly so that it's a little bit bigger. Because if you know anything about the history of the SoundBlaster toy back in Japan, he was part of the Headmaster series that they did after G1 cartoon ended. So for us here in America, the G1 cartoon ended with the Rebirth. In Japan, they didn't get the Rebirth. They instead got a 35-episode series called The Headmasters. Very early on in the series, spoilers, both Blaster and Soundwave have an epic fight with all the cassettes, and they are both destroyed and then later rebuilt. Blaster becomes Twincast, and Soundwave becomes SoundBlaster. So that toy as well had the chest cavity augmented so that it could hold 2 cassettes instead of just 1. So I believe that's what they're going for here as well, to mimic that. But really cool artwork here on the side. I like that a lot. Otherwise, not too much going on with the packaging. And then it just shows, again, the robot mode, the weird vehicle mode that we got in Siege. But let's be honest, you're getting Soundwave for the robot mode because that's what it's all about. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get him out of the box, and we're going to take a closer look. So here is SoundBlaster out of the packaging, and I really love the color scheme. I feel like that's the strongest thing that this version of Soundwave has going for him. The color scheme just looks really, really good. I wanted to just put him kind of side by side with Soundwave here. I still think I prefer Soundwave's colors. I don't know, maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's just because I like blue more than I like black, but Soundwave looks really, really good. But I mean, SoundBlaster also looks really good, but you can see it's pretty much the same toy. The only difference is that this is larger. You can see right away, right off the bat there, this is much wider and extends far past the chest, unlike the original. So I'm going to move him off to the side again. He looks good. Unfortunately, the arm's a little messed up. Like, this will not peg all the way in. It, pops back out. And I think it's because this piece here, this little antenna that flips out, is, not in there 100% straight. And I've tried to see what I could do with it, but it really just does not want to stick in there, which is a bummer. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. But he still looks good. I mean, it just, it doesn't peg 100% in, but it's pretty much right there. But overall, again, paint applications really sharp. The silver, the gold, and the red down here on the shin really pops in particular. And then that really nice gold for the window in his chest. Otherwise, you got black and red all over the place. Face sculpt, light piping. All looking really, really cool. He comes with this accessory. You can kind of push this back in for later on, which we'll show in the vehicle mode, but he does have the shoulder barrel as well. I guess that has a salvo of missiles in there, something like that. But definitely looks good. He's got all the same articulation as the original Soundwave, so heads on a ball joint, up and down, side to side. You have that swivel in the shoulder plus a spin. Bicep swivel, 90 degrees into the elbow. I don't think the wrist can move now because the way it transforms, it folds into the forearm, so no wrist movement. You do have waist swivel. Hip can go out to the side, front and back. You got a thigh swivel. 90 degrees in the knee. Then you do have some ankle tilt, which Siege has definitely kind of been their signature thing, ankle tilts. But yeah, he looks good. He's definitely just a slightly remolded Soundwave, so it's going to be up to you whether you need SoundBlaster or not. If you love the color scheme, if you want a reference to that Japanese exclusive character, then I say go for it. Definitely looks good. I do want to talk a little bit about the larger chest cavity, though. So my hope was that because this was wider, it would be able to accommodate Ratbat and Rumble. Now, unfortunately, it's just still too tight, And I kind of pushed Ratbat in way too far, and it got jammed in there for a while. But I was able to get it out. So unfortunately, these are still just too tight. I guess they didn't engineer these well enough that they didn't really picture the clearance issues they were going to have, because they're too thick. They're too snug. So like you can put it in there and it'll close up and he'll sit in there and he's inside now. But you can't fit two. So kind of the same thing for Rumble. If you want to put one of these two in there, he will fit. It's just it's going to be really snug, and as a result you won't be able to put a second one in, because I would not push that all the way in and get it stuck. Now conversely, if you take Laserbeak and you drop him in, I mean, it's still pretty snug, and because of the way it's like double thick, it makes it harder to get them out of there. But you could fit Laserbeak and Ravage in there and close it up. But because it's one of those things where I get what they're going for. See, this is going to get all stuck in here now. Well, I'll have to figure that out in a minute. But because of the way they did it, and because instead of just having like the cavity be larger and having this, I don't know, there's no good way to do it, honestly, because no matter what you do, you have to make a thicker rectangle that these things that are already too snug have to get kind of smashed into. And when you try to put two in, it makes you have to smash them in even more. And so you get stuff like this, where now this is just kind of stuck in here, and I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. Yeah, that's going to be interesting, so I'll have to figure that out. But I appreciate what they were going for. They're trying to make it so that it could fit two, but because it's so thick like that, like now, and the problem is you can't really... I'll have to open it again. Let me get these out of here and I'll show you what I mean in a moment. Okay, so I was able to get them out of there, but here's the problem. So when you open this, what they decided to do was, instead of just having like this, what they should have done is cut this off and just had the hinge, because what happens is you can't just lay a cassette in here against the chest. You have to stack them in this piece, because this has to go all the way into that spot. Do you see? I'm probably not explaining it that well, but it would be one thing if this ledge wasn't here and you could just lay him against, like behind this, and just lay him in against there, but you can't. You have to like mash this all the way down, so it's going to be completely snug in this piece. Then when you set something on top of it, it has to stay on this shelf. When you tilt this back, if it falls off the shelf and falls into the cavity back there, even a little bit, now when this goes to open, this ledge will have nowhere to go, because the cassette gets kind of jammed halfway in and out of that. And so this ledge has nowhere to go. And because of that, it can't open. And that's what happened to me. So I had to like literally pull this open and like pull Laserbeak out. And then once I had some room, I could kind of pop him out. But I see what they were going for, but it didn't really work that well because of that. Like, they would have had to make it even larger. Like, if they had this stick out a little bit further so that, like, by this clearance you could fit two, then there would be absolutely no way it could fall out of there, and then it would be fine. But you'd still have to, like, pop this open, pull this out, and then pull out the second one. It doesn't really work. I appreciate the homage to the original SoundBlaster, the fact that he could hold two tapes, and I think he looks cool with this wide thing on the front. I'm fine with the aesthetic. I think it looks good. Just practically, I don't think it holds two tapes. Now, maybe everyone else plays with this all the time and has no problem getting two tapes in there, and it's just me. I don't know. My SoundBlaster is a little janked up, I'll be honest, but I think what you're better off doing, use the extra width to just put one of these little bit bigger tapes in here, so that way you know he's not going to fall out. Close it up, and then you can just deploy him easily and then just pop him out of there. That's what I recommend. Honestly, that's probably what I'm just going to do. I appreciate that they tried to make it bigger so it could hold two, but I really think even with the two smallest ones, it's just not enough clearance. I just don't really think that it's going to work out. All right, so getting into the transformation, the first thing we're going to do is remove these two cylinder pieces. But I will caution you to be a little careful because mine pops out all the time like this. It's not a big deal. You just pop it right back on. But just know that that can happen. And then for this one, you're going to boop, pop that back inside. And then really you can just put these two things off to the side. So here is SoundBlaster. You're going to rotate the two fists into the forearms. And I should just say, if you're familiar with how Soundwave transforms, it's exactly the same. You're going to open this up, pull this little flap back here down so that you can rotate the head down in, then close this back up. This will kind of just hang there for now. Come down here, open up the back of the legs, the feet, make sure they're straight, will pop in. This will flip up, come down, cover over top of that. Flip this up, flip this, pop that, boom. Then you're going to rotate these in towards each other, like this. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but you're supposed to eventually peg them together, but the way these flaps are on the back, I find it works out better if I take this, and you can see the large peg right here and the peg hole right here, and kind of do these separately when they're not hooked together yet. So peg that together, and then they just kind of like loosely tap together because they don't quite reach. Like they do and they don't. It's weird. So there you go. But in any case, you're going to come back up. Let me actually pan this camera up a little bit. So you're going to pop these down. You can kind of put the arms out like this for now. Just leave that out like that. You're going to unhook the waist section. And it doesn't always want to cooperate, but there we go. So you pop that away. This is going to lift up, and you can see that there is a tab right there. That's going to tab in up here. So this is going to come up, push back, and then peg down. And then this will lift up, and these two tabs will tab in here and here. So this will come up. And you got to make sure that these are underneath. These came unpegged, so don't do that. There you go. Okay, so that's all pegged together now. At this point, you're going to, I think, bring the arms down like this. And then rotate this down. And you'll see that there is a little peg right there, which kind of fits in this recess right here. So that kind of pegs on like that. And then you're going to rotate the forearm in like this. And rotate this in as well. This will peg down. These will actually peg together. Like so. This will flip around to form a weird little ski. These will flip around to form more little skis. You're pretty much done at this point. You're just going to unhook these and just kind of rotate them out to the side. Yeah. And then you can bring these back in and peg them in up top. Like so. And that's pretty much it. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? It's on this side. This little... I guess I had to do it beforehand, but this little piece flips out. It's not really that important, honestly. But this little piece flips up, and it's going to be impossible to do now that this is pegged in. But that piece would flip up. Then you would peg this down. And it just kind of sticks up here. It doesn't really do anything, honestly. You could leave it down. It doesn't matter. But essentially, that is the vehicle mode. It's not the best. It's just kind of like a, spaceship. It kind of reminds me of, I feel like, something you would see in Star Wars, like Star Destroyer-esque, something like that. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like floating along with somebody inside, but it's got the weird little skis. Sorry, it's got the weird little skis so you can put it down if you want. But this is kind of like angled weird because the way it pegs in. I don't know. It's not great. You could still put the tapes in here if you wish. Nothing's stopping you. But yeah, that's the vehicle mode. Sorry, real quick, one last thing I forgot. You do also have this piece, which I put off to the side and didn't even remember I had until just now. I don't really know what the point of this is. I think it's because you can take this and add it to the end so that it makes like a long... I think you're supposed to do something like that. So it's supposed to be like this is the stock, and then he's got like a long gun if you want it to be. I don't know. I don't really see the point. I kind of never did. This same thing came with the original Soundwave as well. But in this mode, they want you to like peg it in what was his armpit. So if you want to peg that in there in this mode, you can. I mean, again, I'd never seen the purposes. I mean, hey, if you like the long gun thing, then obviously go for it. But most of the time with my Soundwave, I just kind of like peg it into his leg or something and forget about it, or just toss it somewhere. It's kind of a meaningless accessory to me, but, you know, it serves a purpose, I guess. Yeah, sorry, that's it. I just wanted to make sure I pointed that out. So at the end of the day, I like SoundBlaster. I do. The color scheme's really cool, and I like what they did with the larger chest. I appreciate what they were going for because they wanted to pay homage to the original SoundBlaster toy, and that's exactly how the original SoundBlaster toy was. It doesn't quite work because it's just not quite big enough to fit 2 cassettes without them getting really jammed in there and then kind of impossible to get out. So I would definitely proceed with caution. You can easily fit 1 cassette in there, and because he has the extra space, you can actually fit Rat Bat and Rumble fairly easily without them getting stuck, which I do appreciate. And it can actually like open up and deploy them, whereas with Soundwave it was too tight that it wouldn't really open up. So it's got that going for it. I still think the alt mode is kind of weird, but like I said, it's a Soundwave slash SoundBlaster toy. You're buying it for the robot mode. I mean, let's be honest. Soundwave went through most of G1 in robot mode. Yes, he did turn into a cassette player once in a while, but he just needs to be in robot mode and able to deploy the tapes, and that's really all you need him to do. So aesthetically, this looks good. I'm a little bummed that my shoulder, the one shoulder is a little messed up, but I'm hoping that's just mine and not common for a lot of people. So I definitely think he's worth picking up. At this point, you may be able to find him on sale. I know it's late in the game for me to be reviewing this, but I couldn't find these 35 Walmart exclusives anywhere around me. I think I bought Blue Streak and Optimus online, and then I had a good buddy of mine, Brian, Collector Shuki, find this for me and send it to me. And I think like 2 days after he told me he bought it for me, I found it at a Walmart finally. But it was like the whole holiday season I couldn't find him at all. So it might be at the point where maybe on their website or something you could get this on sale or something, and then I think it's definitely worth it. It's really just up to which version you like better. If you're a diehard Transformer fan like me and you want Soundwave and SoundBlaster, go for it. You won't be disappointed. If you already have Soundwave and you don't really care, then you could probably skip this. It's not necessary. But aesthetically, I think he looks great. You know, just to have him on my shelf, he's going to look good. His transformation is a little wonky, but I think that's mostly just because the alt mode's kind of meh. And I would just proceed with caution when putting tapes into the chest. I would probably stick to just 1, but if you're going to do 2, just be a little cautious it doesn't jam up on you. So that's going to do it for this one. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to let me know what you think, comments are disabled, but you could always hit me up on Twitter. My Twitter also has a link to a Discord where you guys can do discussions about various things, so hit me up on there. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks so much for watching.